Hi everyone, and it is maths time, so you're welcome. As you can see displayed on the screen, today is Monday 22nd June 2020. So you are welcome. It's going to be fun today, so feel free and get ready for class. Okay, still on the topic geometry, so today we'll be rounding up on this. Today we are looking at three-dimensional shape and properties. So the first time we look at basic geometry types, examples of two-dimensional shape and three-dimensional shapes. And last week we looked at quadrilaterals and polygons. So just as I said earlier, so today we are looking at three-dimensional shapes and their properties. Okay, so even though it's subtopic, but it's our topic for today, having looked at some other subtopics previously, the basic three-dimensional and the polygons and quadrilaterals. So let's move on. Under today's topic, we have about 3 learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, you say to yourself, I should be able to. The first learning objective is that you should be able to tell what three-dimensional shapes are. Then 2, state some of the basic properties of three-dimensional shapes. Then the last one, identify three-dimensional shapes with their properties. Some of the key vocabulary words we have for today are here. The first one, vertex. The second one, vertices. The third one, faces. The fourth one, edges. And the last one, curved surface. Each of these we are going to look at the meaning from the next slide. So calm down. They are so simple, so we'll break them down. Okay, so I'm looking at the screen now. This is our first instructional aid. Just to explain some of the terms, the key vocabulary words. When you hear about face in three-dimensional shapes, as you see, there's a line pointing towards the face, the blue surface. So face, that's the flat surface of a three-dimensional shape. The next to it is edges. You can see those lines pointing to the edges where two faces meet. That's what we call edges. Then the last one, vertices. That's the plural. Vertex is the singular if it's just one. So that's the point where 3 or more edges meet. So whenever you see that, you should be able to identify that accordingly. Remember, we have 3 learning objectives for today. So we start, the content starts from here. It says, what are three-dimensional shapes? Three-dimensional shapes are shapes that take up spaces. Three-dimensional shapes are shapes that take up spaces. They have 3 dimensions. What are those dimensions? The first one, length. The second one, breadth. The third one, height. Okay. From the instructional aid shown earlier, you should be able to relate with this, talking about the properties of three-dimensional shapes. And the first one here is talking about faces, that is surfaces. These are flat surfaces in three-dimensional shapes. Note, some three-dimensional shapes have what we call curved surface or surfaces, like in the case of a cone. A cone has one flat surface, then one curved surface, and also spheres too. Sphere does not have flat surface. Okay, then talking about edges, these are points where 2 or more surfaces meet. Then the last one, vertices, or for plural, then vertex for singular. These are points where 2 or more edges meet. All these are for you to identify any of the three-dimensional shapes when you see one. You should know what we call face, know what we call edges, and know what we call vertices. Okay, so when you see any of them, you should be able to identify. All right, so please take note of all. Some examples of three-dimensional shapes are displayed here. As you can see, the first one, cylinder, followed by cube. The next one, cuboid, followed by cone. The next one down there with red color, and that's pyramid, followed by sphere in blue color, then followed by hemisphere, and the last one, triangular prism. So those are examples of three-dimensional shapes. They take up space and they have three dimensions: height, length, and breadth. Length, breadth, and height. Okay. These are properties of some of the three-dimensional shapes. For cone, now you can see it's telling us that a cone has two surfaces. That's the curved surface and the flat surface. Then one edge, then one vertex. And for some of the properties, some mathematician tends to not agree. Depends on how the shape is formed. If I use cardboard to form a cone, I might have different properties compared to somebody who mold a cone. Okay, so for sphere, it says one surface, one edge, then one vertex. In some other cases too, it might differ. Okay, so just on your own, be able to identify what do we call face, what do we call edge, then what do we call vertex or vertices. So with that, you should be able to tell us how many of those when you see any of the three-dimensional shapes. Okay, like looking at that cylinder there, say three faces, the curved surface, then the surface at the top, then the surface under. All right, so we'll move on. Okay. To end today's class, I told you that the three-dimensional shapes are shapes that take up space. They have three dimensions, that is length, breadth, and height. Also, they have properties, talking about faces, edges, and vertices. So with those, you should be able to identify any of the three-dimensional shapes when you see one. Okay, and for those who are ready for the Zoom class, please kindly signify under the comment section so that we can do that. So I missed all of you. Please keep staying at home and keep staying safe. Bye for now. Okay.